To keep a long story short, even though it's 2:15 in the morning, I am really hyper. This is chapter 3 of It Takes a Village. Twilight had launched directly from breakfast into her studies, and Spike knew from experience that there was no way he was able to pry her out of a book with anything less than a national catastrophe. Bored, he lay down in the sunlight and fiddled with one of his oversized quills, watching Ponyville wake up and scurry off to work. He was practicing picking up apples again when the mayor found him. "Spike," she said pleasantly, "I haven't seen you for a donkey's age. Trust you've been well?" "Hey, Mayor." He put down his apple carefully. "Well, I'm getting there." She nodded. I see. He squinted down at her. "Want an apple?" She smiled. "Very kind of you, but I've just had a truly delightful dandelion salad. Perhaps some other time." "Sure," he replied, puzzled. "Mayor, did you want something?" "Well," she said, "I received a complaint yesterday afternoon from a rather distressed group of ponies who said you had, and I use their term, terrorized the morning market." "Oh, pony feathers," Spike grumbled. "I didn't believe a word of all that braying, dear," the mayor assured him, "but I do want to get to the root of this issue." Spike folded his feet under his chest and fumed, both literally and metaphorically. "Great. Just great. So, what actually happened?" "I was sleeping in the square," he replied crossly, "and Sweetie Belle and Scoozaloo woke me up. All the visitors seemed to be pretty scared, but no pony was attacking me or anything. Those two began talking to me and warming up a bit in the smoke, and this one unicorn went crazy. Didn't listen to a word any of us said, just kept on going and going about how it was a monster and dangerous, and telling me to go back where I came from." The mayor hummed in thought. "So you definitely never instigated this, conflict?" "No!" "Oh, I never doubted it," she said, giving him a reassuring pat on the forepaw. "However, I worry that this may not be the last time you have to deal with such arrogant prejudice. The complainant and her associates were rather vocal when they stormed into the town hall, and they were threatening rally action. It's a fairly common attitude after all. No doubt they'll find support for their beliefs somewhere or other. I do hope they don't stir up trouble for you." Spike felt a bit sick. Maybe I should just have cleared off after all." No, she waved a hoof. "You were doing nothing wrong, Spike. And they are the ones who blew it out of proportions." "What if they come back?" Spike asked. "You are a citizen of Ponyville and Equestria," the mayor said firmly, "and you have as much right to use its public spaces as any other pony, or dragon. If they come back, we shall deal with it. Until then, we should put it out of our minds." "I suppose," he said, wrinkling his snout. She patted his folded leg briskly. "Chin up, dear," she said, with a kind smile. "Now, as I said, I haven't seen you for simply ages. I know it's unpopular to have a natter with a politician, but do go ahead and fill me in on what you've been doing. I like to know these things, you know." Spike shrugged internally and began to tell her about his lessons the day before, and about several of his plans to help the town. He found it easy to talk to her, although the image of a clown wig kept trying to intrude and break his flow. She was an attentive listener, and nodded her elegant white-maned head appreciatively at several of the ideas. She was especially enthusiastic about the air rides. "Just think," she said eagerly, "flying, an earth pony like me! Oh, I'll be queuing for the very first tickets, never you fear." Spike smiled. "I'm really grateful you're letting me build my house here," he said. "Letting schmetting, dear. You're the personal assistant of the most powerful unicorn in Equestria, and close friend to the elements of harmony. Why, you're practically one yourself," she said. "Who knows? Perhaps you'll be famous. Ponyville's famous dragon. Do you like the sound of that?" He cringed. "I don't know." "And just think what it could do for tourism," she said in a satisfied way. "That's exactly what I was thinking. 'Cause, yeah." "Well, let's hope it's the kind of tourism we want," he said gloomily, remembering their earlier topic. The mayor bade him a cheery farewell, and he was suddenly possessed by a need to do something. Anything. He carefully picked up and ate the last of his apples, and then piled the empty barrels and crates into the wagon. Eyeing it thoughtfully, he eventually shrugged and picked up the whole thing under one foreleg. Walking with 3 legs was lopsided and awkward, but there was no way he was ever going to fit into that titchy little harness. Hoisting it cautiously, he began to walk to Sweet Apple Acres. Mackintosh seemed grateful that Spike had returned his wagon, crates, and barrels, and so spared him a trip into town. But with the laconic red farm pony, you never really could tell. He told Spike that he'd deliver another wagon load that evening, and then he'd be able to take another lesson on Thursday morning. He seemed busy, so Spike waved and began to walk back into town. It was much easier on 4 legs. He was cresting the rise of a little hill overlooking the farm when the breathless Cheerilee barreled into him. "Spike!" she gasped. "Oh, thank goodness I caught up with you!" "Oh, hi, Cheerilee," he said, slowly extending his forepaw to support the heaving pony. "You were looking for me?" She leaned heavily on his scaled forearm and swallowed, trying to get her breathing under control. "Yes. I tried the square at first, seeing as you've already been there nearly a week, and when I didn't find you there, I asked Twilight, and she said you'd left, so I cantered through town, and finally—" She coughed a little. "Whew, sorry." "That's okay," he said. "So what's the big hurry?" "I wanted to catch you before school started," the teacher explained. "You see, I've had some complaints recently." "Oh no," Spike groaned. "A few of the parents of my younger students. They haven't really seen you since they were barely weaned. And seeing you, well, as you are now, has unfortunately given them nightmares. Poor little mites. No matter how many times I or their parents tell them that you're a friendly dragon, they're scared stiff of you." Spike's heart sank. "Hooray! I'm the stuff of nightmares," he muttered. "Anyway, I was wondering if you'd be willing to come by their school, perhaps tomorrow." He blinked. "What?" "Well, I spoke to the parents, and they agreed it would probably be best if the colts and fillies met you properly in a safe environment. That way they'll discover they have nothing to be afraid of. Perhaps you could tell a few stories to the little ones about growing up as a dragon in Ponyville." Her green eyes blinked up at him hopefully. He was rather taken aback. Sure, if you like. What time?" "Well, after lunch would be best," she said, beaming at him. "Oh, thank you. This will surely put their minds at rest. Silly little cherubs. You won't believe the stories they were being bandied about on the playground." "I think I can live quite happily without ever hearing them," he agreed sourly. "I must dash," she said. "I haven't much time before the first of them arrive at the schoolhouse. Thank you again, Spike." She was gone in a swirl of dark purple. What was that? He wondered to himself. So, oh God, I can envision so many ways of him going to the schoolhouse going wrong. Oh God, he should tranquilize himself. Well, not tranquilize fully, but I don't know. So he can only lie down and talk and can't do anything else. Spike heaved on the ropes as hard as he could, his shoulders straining and his wings half extended with effort. "That's it!" Pinky clapped her hooves together. "You're doing it!" He collapsed against the ropes, panting. "I'm doing squat. It won't budge, Pinky. It's as solid as a rock." Rainbow Dash wrinkled her nose. "Yeah, funny that." As the rest of Ponyville went through a normal Monday afternoon, the 3 of them had made their way to the peak of Horsefall Mountain, overlooking the Everfree Forest. The mighty stone that rested against the peak had shifted during an earthquake many years ago, blocking off the little brook that had once trickled merrily through the forest and into the lake by the village. Granny Smith had told the story so many times it had become legend. So, too, had her mumbling complaints about losing access to the convenient source of fresh water. Spike had promised to move the rock, but he had seriously underestimated its size. Seeing it close to was worlds away from seeing it at a distance. It was broader than it was high, and thus rolling it was virtually impossible. So he was attempting to drag it away. from the spring's source, and he wasn't nearly strong enough yet. "Never thought I'd want to be bigger than I am now," he puffed, his face shiny. "This thing is seriously ticking me off." "Easy, Tiger," grinned Dash from her perch on the little cloud. "Give it another go." "Don't give up, Spiky Wikey," Pinky echoed, bouncing gently on the spot. "You've got to push on through if you want to do it." "Easy for you two to say," he grumbled, but braced himself against the ropes once more. The muscles in his neck tensed, and he hurled his whole weight and strength against the rock's indifference. His claws dug furrows beneath him as he scrabbled for more purchase against the scrubby ground. Eventually he had to concede defeat again, and his head flopped forwards as his shoulders wilted. "Ugh," he groaned painfully. "No, really, ow!" "You totally gave it your best shot, Spike," Dash said. "And hey, it's not every pony that can be as awesome as me on the very first try. Maybe next year, huh?" "I think it almost moved a teeny, eensy-weensy bit just then," said Pinky loyally. "Well, I think that in any future epic fight between Dragon and Rock, I knew who my bit's on," Dash drawled. Spike huffed, and Pinky pursed her lips disapprovingly. "Dashy," she scolded, and Rainbow Dash shrugged. "The Rock won. Tell it like it is." "Stupid Rock," Spike managed, staggering out of the ropes. "Show it." "Yeah, you show the Rock. Show it who's the biggest, baddest boss," Pinky cheered, her hooves boxing at thin air. "You kick it to the curb. You take it to the cleaners. If it wants trouble, it's got double. 'Cause lean, mean, purple, and green is here to kick tail and take names, but he ain't taking no names, no siree." He stomped around the stupid thing until he was on the mountain above it, leaned his shoulder against the pitted side, and pushed with all his might and main. His hind feet immediately began to sour deep gashes in the ground beneath him, and he gritted his fangs. The great flight muscles in his shoulders and back were locked and burning, and his haunches felt like they were on fire. "What the hey?" he dimly heard Rainbow Dash say. "It's moving!" squealed Pinky. "Gimme an S! Gimme a P! Gimme an I!" Spike's eyes were beginning to water, the boiling tears splashing at his feet. The sound of the rock scraping against rock screeched harshly in his ears. He began to snarl through his teeth, and his forelegs shook with effort. With that awful grating rattling his head, he slowly slid the huge stone down the mountain for perhaps 10 pony strides before finally crumbling into a heap. "Wow! Wow!" Rainbow Dash flitted down to him, her face gobsmacked. "Okay, I'm on Dream Dragons now, alright? Remind me not to, annoy you in the future." Are you okay?" Spike just gasped and trembled, his throat working furiously. "Oh no! He's hurt himself!" Pinky's pupils were blown wide with worry. "Spike?" "Water," he rasped. "Water, right. Can do." Rainbow Dash zipped away quicker than thought and returned even faster with a puffy black cloud. "Say ah!" she instructed, preparing to jump on the cloud. No, Spike swallowed. "The stream, is it—" "Oh!" Pinky blinked before she scurried back to the rock's original position to peer at the black mud that had rested underneath it. "Nopey-dopey," she reported cheerfully. Spike groaned. "Hang on," Pinky continued more slowly. "Is that—" "Whoa!" Her whole back shuddered, and then her eyes fluttered in conjunction with her nose twitching and a single ear flopping forwards. "Combo!" she gasped. Spike pushed himself painfully onto his elbows. "What does that mean?" She turned to them, her blue eyes earnest. "Don't know. That one's new." A great subterranean rumble began under his claws, and the craggy mountain peak began to quake. "I think it means we're gonna get wet," she added brightly. Abruptly, a veritable geyser of muddy water blew into the sky behind her, and Spike only had a second in which to say, "Oh, that's just great," before he had a face full of it. Spitting and spluttering, he stood with some to see Pinky being carried down towards him by the blockheaded blocked stream's initial torrent. "Pinky!" he yelled. "Way!" Oh, that was terrible. "Whee!" she crowed. "Oh, brother!" Dash sighed. He stood and waded towards her, the mud sucking at his claws. She was spinning like a cork in the current, and he was only able to halt her progress by extending one wing and catching her within it like a net. Unfortunately, that also meant that he was catching an awful amount of very fast-moving water, and he sucked air through his teeth as his wing was wrenched back. Though he didn't dare move for fear of losing Pinky. Rainbow Dash swooped in at that point and grabbed Pinky's hooves and hoisted her into the air. "I got her, Spike!" she hollered. "You can get out now!" Folding his wing back, it was in pure agony. He ducked his head against the rushing water and squelched his way to the bank of the stream. The water was quickly scouring the layers of dirt away to reveal the old stream bed, but he was still very muddy when he made it to dry land. He sprawled onto the ground, his wings and legs trailing behind him. Pinky was sitting on the grass like a sack of potatoes, her dripping mane in her eyes, but a cheery grin on her face. Dash was hovering at the water's edge, watching anxiously. "You know, you really ought to read the fine print before you volunteer to do anything like this again," she said. "I know," he croaked. "Well, you unblocked the stream," Pinky pointed out, in the tone of some pony trying to find a silver lining. Spike raised his eyes to meet Rainbow Dash's, and they both began chuckling. "Really? I hadn't noticed," Spike laughed. "Yeah, when was that?" Dash snickered. Pinky flopped over onto her back. "Would I call it a rock-moving party?" she mused. "Or a possibly stream-unblocking party? No, not that. That name sounds too medical. Oh, maybe a Spike, Rainbow Dash, and Pinkie Pie narrowly escaped drowning party. That'd be... You again." The booming roar came from the edges of the everfree forest, far below them. It prodded a memory from long ago, and Spike's fatigue disappeared in a cold rush of fear. He leapt to his feet and turned to face the forest edge, his wings extending to shield the two ponies. From between the trees emerged the huge snout and snake-like neck of the green dragon he had met when he was a baby. It was just as ferocious-looking as he remembered, its eyes rolling with anger and disdain. It was easily 5 times the size of him. The wicked-looking spines along its back caught the branches of the trees, and its gargantuan teeth were gleamed unpleasantly. "Spike, do you know this guy?" Dash whispered hoarsely. "We met once, a long time ago," he muttered. Pinky beamed. "Well, where are your manners? Make some introductions!" "I should have known it was you, hatchling," the dragon growled. "Who else would dare flood my home?" "What? He didn't flood it. The stream just got unblocked. It'll die down eventually. And anyway, what do you mean, hatchling? Spike's not a baby anymore," Pinky said very quickly and very indignantly. "Pinky, please shut up," Dash said urgently. The dragon's orange eyes flashed, and it began to stalk menacingly out of the trees. The extra sharp claws and extra spiky tail were exactly as Spike remembered, unfortunately. "I found this one in my home, eating my gems, when he was barely out of his egg," he said with a thunderous scorn. "Now I find he has graduated to flooding my cave." "Look, I'm sorry," Spike said quickly. "I didn't know this stream would wash out your cave." The dragon hissed in anger and towering contempt. "Tell me, hatchling, have you made any improvement on that miserable flame?" Some," said Spike wearily. The great green dragon chuckled darkly. "It would have been difficult to do otherwise, pathetic as it was. And I see you have your wings and teeth." The huge claws effortlessly raked a gigantic trench in the rocky mountainside. "Can you use them?" Spike remained silent. The dragon's laughter grew gleeful. "Ah, no! A flightless dragon. A grounded lizard. You have wings and teeth and claws, child, but you might as well be exactly as you were when you ate my gems." "What's it to you?" Dash said, pugnacariously. And Spike gave her a warning look. That infant trying to shield you has insulted me for the last time, mammal, the green dragon snarled. He infringes on my territory and blithely takes what is mine for his own. Finally, he has drowned my lair and washed away my hoard. It must be answered. Any true dragon would not allow such an affront to live. He took another precise step, and distorted wavering superheated gases playing in his mouth. Dash, take Pinky and run, Spike said. You have to run! Hey, I don't leave my friends in the lurch, she hissed back. He'll kill you! You have to get out of here, Spike pleaded with her. And how about you? She threw back. He's inviting you to a tea party and a nice little sing-song. He doesn't look like the sing-song type, said Pinky weakly. Step by ominous step, the great beast prowled closer. The pony's eyes were pinpricks of fear. Spike's panic was close to overwhelming as he barked, "Go at them." Rainbow Dash scooped up Pinky and hovered for a moment, Pinky's legs dangling comically. "I'm coming back," she said grimly. "Don't do anything dumb." "Dumber than sticking around for a dragon fight?" Spike cried in frustration. "Get out of here!" She gave him a look of desperation, and then they were gone. "How touching you are fond of the little beasts," crooned the green dragon mockingly. "I was raised by ponies," Spike said, turning back to face it. "Of course I'm fond of them." The great creature spat in ridicule. "You are no dragon hatchling. You are nothing but a mammal in scaled skin." At least I don't live all alone," he retorted, backing up slightly. "At least I actually have friends to talk to." "Friends?" The dragon laughed derisively, a great plume of fire rising from his jaws. "A true dragon has no friends. You speak weak mammal words with your forked tongue." "Do all the true dragons talk as stupidly as you do?" Spike asked insolently. Though his voice was trembling, he continued to back up the mountain, his heart beating so hard it felt like it would tear through his chest. The dragon snorted fire from his nostrils like an emerged bull. "You know nothing," he growled. "You little fool." "I know one thing," Spike said defiantly. "I know that dragons are supposed to be proud. Where's the pride in killing me? Like you said, I'm just a kid." "Wow, killing a kid. Huge achievement there. Really something to be proud of, I'll bet." The dragon stopped for a moment before it squatted back on its haunches. There is something to what you say," it said. "Well, thanks Celestia, you think so." Spike exhaled hugely, smoke puffing everywhere, careless in his relief. "Wow, that was a good one. You really had me going there. I thought you were going to kill me." "I haven't finished," the dragon interrupted with a slow, sly grin. "I am going to kill you, have no doubt about that. However, I will give you a small chance. A token. Sometime, perhaps, to prepare your puny little fire against mine." "Time?" Spike squeaked. "Oh, no. Not an arranged battle. Whatever." The dragon began to prowl back into the forest. "1 month at the full moon, hatchling, upon this peak. I will fight you, and you will die. If you flee like a witless worm, or cower amongst those ridiculous mammals you so care for, why then, I will descend upon their cozy little village, and reduce it to cinders and ash." Dread gripped Spike with cold, icy claws. 1 month, the dragon... 1 month, the dragon repeated, and disappeared into the trees. Spike stared and stared at the place where the dragon had vanished. He was still staring when Rainbow Dash returned. "We've got trouble," Twilight announced as she closed the book. "No, really," said a mud-encrusted Spike hysterically. "That's amazing! I hadn't figured that one out for myself at all." "Stop pacing, Sugar Cube. You're making me dizzy," Applejack said irritably. They were all gathered by the lake when Spike had once had a very rude awakening after his very first winter wrap-up. A muddy little stream now fed into its forested edge. So this is the same one you stumbled over during the whole Olympus tantrum? Awkward, said Pinky, wringing out her still sopping mane. Spike simply let out a long and heartfelt groan as he sank to the ground, covering his head with his wings. I'd forgotten about the dragon in the forest, Twilight admitted. Why does he suddenly have an issue with Spike? Fluttershy asked. Because he's becoming a threat, Twilight said reluctantly. Dragons are incredibly territorial after all, and now that Spike's no longer a baby dragon, the dragon can't really ignore him anymore. He's a constant challenge to his dominance. Add to that the fact that Spike's prior contact with this dragon has always been, she turned her eyes skyward, searching for the right word. Disastrous, Rarity suggested. Unawesome, Dash put in. As if he deliberately and purposely, on purpose, gone out of his way to purposely get in the dragon's face and purposely mess up his territory issues? Pinky said brightly. Yes, cried Spike, sitting bolt upright. All those, yes. Spike, calm down, Twilight said, her voice thick with exasperation. That's not helping. Oh, I didn't realize. I'm sorry, Spike said frantically, rude in his shock and fright. I didn't realize I needed to be helpful about my own impending messy death. Spike! Twilight was frowning at him, and despite the fact that he was over 3 times her height and easily 20 times her weight, he cringed. Hers had always been the voice of authority to him. Please, Twilight, can't you find some magic or something? He pleaded in desperation. Maybe make me his size. Make him my size. Make him Wynoma's size. There's got to be something. Spike, you know this, she sighed. Know what? Applejack asked. That dragons are naturally magic resistant, Spike said, gritting his fangs in frustration. That's why the entrance exam to the School for Gifted Unicorns was to hatch a dragon's egg, Twilight said, as she floated yet more books from her saddlebag. My exam was considered so extraordinary because I even affected Spike himself, and that's also why I have practiced magic on him. His natural resistance makes it harder. Magic resistant, not magic proof, he said hopefully, but those hopes were dashed away when she shook her head. It grows stronger as you age, Spike, she explained. I'd barely be able to affect that dragon at all, and I bet the moustache you'd get nowadays wouldn't be half what it used to. Spike postponed feeling nostalgic about that until he finished panicking his heart out. Okay, no magic, oh, horse apples, no magic. So what else can I do? Language! Twilight said sternly, as she selected another book, a red dragon embossed? A red dragon on its cover. I know, I can die horribly and get buried in 6 or 7 different graves. Spike began to shake again. Oh no, that won't happen at all, Spike, Fluttershy said. You'll see, we'll think of something. I should have left. I really should have left, he moaned. I've put you all in danger. Now stop at once, Spike, said Rarity, her eyes reproachful. We'll have none of that business again. Moping about thinking you have to leave? Good gracious. That topic is closed, and that's final. Now pull yourself together, and let's think about this. Aha! Twilight said suddenly. What have you found? Spike whirled on her. It's a treatise in the exact sort of challenge the forest dragon has issued, she said. Apparently it's... Oh. It's what? Pinky pressed. According to the ancient dragon lore, it's completely and totally legal for him to rip Spike into itty-bitty pieces and then stomp on the bits, sighed Twilight, closing the book. This is bad, Spike whimpered. Tell you what, Rainbow Dash said suddenly, her voice hard with determination. If nothing else, I'm going to make sure that big bully can't talk to you like that about flying ever again. I'll give you a lesson every day if that's what it takes. You are going to fly rings around the show-off. I've got only a month to learn, Spike said, right before he swathed me like a bug. No way. Not with my teaching, she argued, her chin set out proudly. Rainbow, I haven't even had a single lesson yet. Hey, it's me we're talking about here, she declared. I'm toast, Spike wailed. Calm down, Twilight grated. This isn't helping the situation at all. Stuff the situation, help me, he exclaimed wildly. Spike, you will settle down right this instant. Spike sat obediently. Thank you, Fluttershy, Twilight said with a grateful sigh, before turning back to the dragon. We are helping you, if you hadn't noticed, and I think Rainbow Dash really came up with something there. You're already having lessons to get used to your new size. Well, we'll just step them up. Fat lot of good that'll be, Twilight. He's so much bigger than you, she finished pointedly. He stared at her for a moment before his head drooped to his chest. Twilight tilted her head and her eyes hard with worry as she gazed at him. Spike, you should know better than any pony that size doesn't mean much at all. So he's bigger than you. Big deal. That just means you have to use your brain. The bigger they are, the harder they lose, Rainbow Dash said with a sly grin. Anyway, for all his size and strength and experience and really hot fire, you have something he doesn't, Twilight continued. A use-by date? Friends, she stressed. He looked away. I know, he said. I even said as much to him. But I'm just so scared, Twilight. We know, Sugar Cube, Applejack said. But don't you worry. We're gonna have you aiming like a sharpshooter before you can say lariats of fire. You'll be the fastest dragon who ever lived, enthused Rainbow. Not as fast as me, of course. Pinkie and I'll help with the plan, Twilight said, at a nod from the party pony. We'll think of strategies. Is Pinkie really a strategist? I guess she is in this. Rarity, would you help with that? Of course. Anything for our little Spiky Wikey, she said immediately. And perhaps I can whip something up in the boutique. But what? Rarity's brow creased. Well, darlings, I can't help but notice. Yes? Don't you think we ought to talk to the dragon about this? It does seem somewhat of an overreaction after all. Even talking into accounting his territory. Fixations. Perhaps we could settle this through more diplomatic methods, yes? Spike and I could replace his hoard, for instance. Her long-lashed eyes blinked expectantly. It's certainly worth a try, don't you think? Spike slumped. If I get within sniffling distance of that guy, I'm a crispy critter. But we really should try, she insisted. After all, these ponies yesterday leapt to a conclusion simply because you are a dragon, Spike. It would be the very height of hypocrisy to do the same. En est pas, I don't know. Rarity just spoke some French, and it's like en est pas or something. Spike rallied his flagging spirits. Yeah, you're right, Rarity. I should try, at least. Twilight's horn flared, and her books began to float back into her saddlebags. Well, let's hold off that until tomorrow, she said with a practical sniff. We've got to step up your lessons, Spike, and I suppose some pony needs to tell the mayor. Spike regretfully remembered the older pony's trust from their morning conversation. Well, this was going to shatter it thoroughly. I should really be the one to tell her, he said, his heart sitting heavily in his chest. It's me that's putting the town in danger. We'll all tell her, Twilight replied firmly. But first, Rarity said, you. She pointed at Spike with one dainty little hoof. In there, now. The hoof jabbed at the lake. Her voice softened as she said, You'll feel better when you're clean. Then she eyed his mud-splattered chest with distaste. I'll feel better when you're clean, she shuddered. He looked down at himself, nodded once, and silently began to trudge into the lake. The mayor had drawn herself up, her face paling, as Spike haltingly explained what had happened on the mountain that afternoon. He fell over himself, trying to reassure her that he would not run out on the challenge, and thus leave Ponyville to the forest dragon's fire. She said very little, only that her thoughts and support were with him. He trudged wordlessly back to the square, lost in a fog of hopelessness. It was all so different to his foolish little daydreams when he was small. He had imagined being dashing and impressive, with flames that did his every bidding, the flight of a swallow, and enough to poise to flick away foes without blinking. The reality of growing up was ponderous, clumsy, and cumbersome. He had so much to learn and relearn, and he had only a month before he was beyond all learning forever. Spike had always been brave in the face of danger, but he'd never had to face this awful waiting. Deadline. What an appropriate word. Almost as bad was the fact that apparently his growing up had political ramifications in both the draconic and equestrian aspects of his life. Through the great green dragon's challenge certainly... Oh no, though the challenge certainly scared him spitless, or unless it's... He was less injured by it than the threat of market ponies from Sunday morning. After all, he had barely anything to do with dragons, but he'd been around ponies his whole life. Their rejections stung on a personal level. Twilight stayed with him throughout the night, curled up against his side. His wing sheltered her from the chill night air. He appreciated it, even as guilt for all the worry he was causing had consumed him, along with his fear. When the morning came, she stretched and shook herself before peering out from under his wing. "Your snoring is really loud now," she said, in a sleep-blurred voice. "Sorry," he mumbled. She gave him a penetrating look. "How long have you been awake?" "A while," he replied. She sighed and brushed back her tangled mane. "Oh, Spike," she said sadly. He sat silently as she pulled herself to her feet and trotted over to his head. She pressed her cheek against his and held it there. "What do I keep telling you?" she murmured. "It's going to be okay." He said nothing, but kept his face pressed against the warmth of her hair. She sighed again, and her hoof pressed tenderly over the thin scales of his jawline. "So, I was thinking." He remained still. She pulled back to look at him. "Maybe we can start getting your house together. That'd be a good way to get your mind off nothing but lessons and challenges, and it'd get you stronger as well. What do you think?" He buried his face against her again and shut his eyes tightly. "Okay." "Okay then," she said. "I'll work out some plans while you go flying with Rainbow Dash this morning, and you can look at them when you get back. Keep your chin up, Spike. I know this must be a lot to deal with, but I'm here. I'm always here." "I know," he said. She folded her hind legs so that she could sit leaning against his jaw. "So I guess you want a jacuzzi and a state-of-the-art kitchen and a room filled with to the roof with gems," she teased gently. His mouth quirked. "That'd be nice. Maybe a room only for diamonds, and one for rubies, and one for only sapphires," she continued lightly. His stomach began to rumble despite himself. "Of course, you'd need a parlour, and a ballroom, and a gallery, and a conservatory," she prodded, as he chuckled reluctantly. "What is a conservatory, anyway?" he murmured. "I guess it's for conserving stuff." "It's for plants," she said. "Oh, and I almost forgot the gardens. Manicured, of course, with hedges and mazes and shrubs of all shaped like you." "And you," he interrupted. "Is this your fantasy house or mine?" She tickled him under his jaw, and he snickered, smoke puffing erratically. "Oh, all right. Maybe a couple that are pony-shaped then." "You," he insisted, still chuckling. "Fine," she allowed with a roll of her eyes. "A shrub me." "And rarity," he added dreamily, and she snorted with laughter. "Better not forget the dragon-sized swimming pool." "Fountains," he giggled. "Of course, and a water slide as well," she declared, with an expansive wave of her hooves. "Oh, and the whole thing needs to be a castle. Banners, peasants the lot. And turrets. A bailey. Is it forecourt or faux castle?" "Forecourt. Faux castles are on ships." "Hey, can I have a moat?" "You can have two," she said generously. "And drawbridges and everything. You can climb up the tallest turret and blow fire at all the tourists who come to take photos." That sobered him quickly. Twilight, those ponies on Sunday. What if they come back? What if they hear about this challenge? She exhaled. Then we'll deal with it. I'm sorry, he said, his eyes dropping to the cobbles. She tugged softly on his spines. It's not your fault. But I'm just so much trouble right now, he sighed. You always were, she said, and kissed his cheek, and I wouldn't change you for anything. Come on, you. Breakfast. He stood slowly and steadily, careful not to jostle or knock her over. The gnawing anxiety did battle with his determination as he followed her back to the library. Dear Princess Celestia, thank you for the letter. I'm trying to stay brave like you told me, but it's getting harder. I'm afraid and pretty confused despite my best efforts. Everything I'm trying to do seems to backfire, and I'm only getting through with the help of my friends. You said to keep in mind that I won't always succeed. That's something that's really frightening me right now. If it were my only success that was at stake, that'd be okay. But somehow it's all become bigger than that. You must know a lot about having to bear responsibility and make hard choices. I'd really like your advice right now, if you have time to give it, of course. I'd be very, very honored if your sister would like to visit me. I'm not sure what I could say to her, but it would be an honor anyway. Sincerely, Spike. That was good. It's 3 o'clock now. The bigger they are, the harder they punch. Nah. That's from Tailspin. God damn it. That was the one episode that I've ever watched of it. And I watched it like 10 times at this one place. Because I was young. You know what I need to do? Read the next chapter. No! You'll be so tired tomorrow morning. And you have all that homework to do. Should you do that now? I don't know. Oh, I'm just talking to myself on the camera. Okay. So, anyways, it's good. I like it. I hope the story doesn't end. It's going to be really weird because it said slice of life. So how the hell does it have all this plot with this whole dragon thing? Because especially that timed thing, it seems like blah, 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 blah. And then then there's like plot point 1 of that plot. And then at the very end, he's going to fight the big dragon and he'll win. And it's like, yay. Oh, yay. I'm so happy. But yeah, so how is this slice of life? That's all I want. It is slice of life, right? Yeah, it's slice of life. I already checked that. I'm kind of tired. I guess I should go to sleep. I stayed up from like 12 to 2 just looking at this Eat Randy MIDI file that I created. Now I'm just vlogging, basically. Audio vlogging. Radio vlogging. Audio vlogging. So then it's not a vlog, it's an owlog. Owlog. I like that. It's got ow, because there's the U. Owlog. Kind of like that one thing that I can't remember. Owlog. 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 And then it'd just be shortened to owlog, but it'd be spelled that way. Why am I still talking to you? No! Bad. Stop. Stop the camera.